Welcome back to White Mountains Today. My name is Chelsea Hupalowski. If you're looking for an incredible theater experience, one that has a different type of show playing almost every other night, every night, look no further than the Weathervane Theatre. And today I have Kimi Handa Brown and Nick Deapo here to talk about Weathervane. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks so much for having us.
Of course, yes. So I just found out that Weathervane Theatre is one of the only true repertory theaters left in the country. So tell everyone what that means.
Yeah, so basically what that means is with repertory theater, we're constantly in rehearsals for one show, and then we're putting on a different show at night. So you could come to the theater and see 3 different shows in 1 week. And we're fortunate here, we actually put on 9 shows a season, and that's not even including some of our smaller like events, one night, like New Works, which, you know, and a couple of smaller things that we put on. But yeah, we're one of the true repertory theaters, so every night we're rehearsing something, putting on a different show. You know, you gotta like balance all these characters in your mind. It's, it's wonderful.
Probably many things going on in your brain at one time, working on so many shows at one time. That's probably a huge challenge, right?
Yeah. It's been a really interesting experience to be able to be in such different shows, all in such a condensed period of time. And I find myself sometimes wanting to jump when I'm in rehearsal to think about the show that we're going to do that evening, and I have to try and be like, no, like I'm here rehearsing Guys and Dolls. I cannot think about my Midsummer Night's Dream lines. That's crazy. And I'll start like thinking about some Shakespeare, and I'll be like, hear me. Oh, but no, and I'll be like, when you see a it's just
it's really the opposite.
Yeah, it's like the most opposite things that you could ever do, and that's been really, really fun. And then also being able to experience the really different genres of theater, because from Midsummer to Mamma Mia to Guys and Dolls, and then there's going to be a whole new work being presented at the end of the season. So that's been really, really fun.
Oh, that's exciting. We'll talk about your season in a second. Let's talk about what roles you both have in the theater. So you're both actors, performers, correct?
Yeah.
But what other roles you both, I know it's your second year with them in first, so what else do you do in the theater at the same time of performing so many shows?
I'm primarily in the production company as an actor, and recently in the productions that have been happening, I've been kind of playing as an intimacy consultant, because I have a lot of experience intimacy directing, and I am an intimacy director. So when I'm in the shows, sometimes the artistic team will call me up and ask me for my advice, or allow me to kind of let that artistic hat enter the room and help stage some scenes and some moments of intimacy on stage. And then also we just did a New Works festival, and so I'm a playwright also, and I got to present my play at this festival. So I guess those are the many little hats that I wear.
Many hats, yes. And what was your play called?
Shakespearean Support Group. It's about leftover Shakespeare characters all in group therapy, talking about the traumas of their plays and bonding together.
Oh, that sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's a really
Shakespearean
silly
trauma.
Yeah, the Shakespearean trauma.
I can, it seems it, yeah.
Come on, someone's got to produce the play.
They've been feeling this whole time. They finally got to let it out.
Yeah, and it's all these like wild characters that either the ones that survived their tragedies or the ones that survived their comedies, and then they all come together and they realize they have a lot more in common with each other because they have such niche, terrible experiences, and then also are expected to keep living. And what does that do to them? Especially a lot of them are really young characters. We have like Benvolio from Romeo and Juliet, Horatio from Hamlet. Yeah, and they like are now in their young 20s being like, yeah, I've had everyone in my life die, so what do we do now? And
wow, yeah.
So that's what my play is about.
Sounds super interesting. I think I've seen it. And then your position in the theater as well.
Yeah, I'm other than being an actor, I'm the box office manager. Yeah,
okay,
this
so
is
all
my
the
first.
tickets.
Yeah, tickets. You know, making sure we get people where they want to be, get to see our show, and also like it's really interesting being like the first point of contact for like patrons. Like, it's really, really cool to like get to know patrons, like get to know their name, and then they walk in and then be like, oh hey, like I know you, I've seen you, like, oh, what are you seeing tonight? Oh, let's get you into, this is your favorite seat. I know you like this seat, so I'm gonna try and get you this seat, you know. And
so
then
make a community and
and like then they also get to like see me on stage, and like I'm so grateful that it's like these people who like they know I'm working really hard to like try and make them happy and have an enjoyable experience, and then they see me on stage, and then after, you know, they might come up and be like, oh, like, hey, we saw you do this and that was fun, and I'm like, thank you, and like it's just
I feel like they know you at a personal level.
It's like they get to see me on a personal level, and that's like I'm really grateful for that, because that's not the normal like theater contract, right? Like the normal theater contract, you show up for like maybe a month, usually a little 6 weeks, do a show, and then you may not work at that theater again, not because you're like bad, hopefully, but just because there's so many people trying to
and you truly just go and you just do your show. You don't always get to see the other side of it, like the box office, the creation of the show, getting to write stuff. This seems like a full experience, and it helps you. I think it helps be a better actor and performer, knowing everything that goes on behind the scenes when you get that.
It creates like a fuller company, because so many of the company members put on so many different hats and are multi-hyphenates, and it's really cool because then everybody kind of speaks the same language but also can offer a very different perspective, like when you're in the company putting on maybe a different lens, or like, oh hey, like maybe we should grab this prop, so then stage management doesn't have to grab this prop, or like X, Y, and Z, and so that's fun to play with. You know?
And I think it's like really special that the Weathervane, and the way that, you know, there's company housing and everybody's like local and working together, and like it is 24/7. It's not like a normal job where you can just walk away from like your work day. Like, you know, you live that work environment, which is like very cool when it's theater people, right? Because like there's a sense of like social like gathering and like being together, and one of the things that I really appreciate is that they allow you to do other things here, like, and they actually like champion that, right? Like you were able to be a playwright and like showcase your own work, and like I was actually able to play violin in the pit for Honky Tonk, so like now I can say I've been a musician in the pit before, and that was like a great experience for me. So they really want you to expand your horizons and try things, like whether that's working in the scene shop and painting, or whether that's you know helping out and stage managing a show for the first time. Like they really help craft you, learn every single part of the theater industry and the business behind it too.
Oh, that's just incredible. What's going on right now is Midsummer, correct? So
yes,
wants to tell. It's one we've all heard of, but I feel like I guess sometimes people don't know the story of it. So if anyone talks about Midsummer.
Yeah, I guess it's
both,
at the same time.
We'll talk. That's our characters in the show. I mean, that is literally what we do in the show.
Yeah,
so if you want to see more,
come check us out. We're doing Midsummer, and it's one of the most popular Shakespeare shows, but it's also a really weirdly complicated plot. I feel like there's kind of three storylines going on. There's this story of the lovers, and it's these like young lovers, and two of them are in love, and one of them is engaged to another guy, and so then they try and run off to this forest, and then they end up getting wrapped up into this other plot, which is like this whole fairy kingdom, and the king and the queen are fighting, and so then they kind of end up putting the lovers under some spells, and they fall in love with the wrong people, and so then they fight in the forest, and then there's this whole other subplot where these worksmen, mechanicals, if you will, are trying to put on a play, and the play is a parody of Romeo and Juliet, and so you watch these like what are their jobs? There's
bellows mender, like I want to say carpenter, but that's wrong.
it's like that vibe, and they're like putting on a play. But then one of the mechanicals also gets like wrapped up into the magic, and then at the end there's like a little happy ending. I play Lysander, one of the lovers, and
Demetrius, one of the other lovers.
So we're kind of rivals. We both love the same girl.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, but then we end up, and so we both love the same girl, and then there's another girl who's in love with his character, but then in the forest, I end up accidentally getting
spelled,
if you and I fall in love with the girl that's in love with his character.
Then I get spelled.
And to fall in love with her, but then we all start fighting. It's a silly little thing.
It sounds like a modern day TV show, but it's been such a long time ago.
Honestly, it would have been a miniseries.
Like Shakespeare wrote a soap opera, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it's a soap opera.
And it gets really, really silly. Like there's this like
a condensed one that doesn't take a whole season, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a tasteful. What's the runtime? Like about
2 hours?
2 hours,
yeah.
And then you get to see all these different subplots. And our version is really exciting because it's kind of this queer lens on
the world and relationships, where it kind of starts off a very specific way, and then when you get to the forest, this forest is this potential way of existing with one another and expressing one another, expressing ourselves in relationship to one another, and being able to kind of question whether or not like the binaries or this kind of like cishet environment is the ones that we actually want to live, if that makes sense.
Which is definitely how Shakespeare wrote everything. So
so it's really cool that this production really leans into that and not only like presses into it, but centers that storyline.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that runs until
I believe October 5th.
Okay.
I want to
so
say, early October.
Left. Yeah.
As the box office manager, I'm going to go with early October on that one.
Final
This is your
as
time.
my final answer on that one.
And then your Guys and Dolls also opening soon.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, next week.
Thursday.
Yeah, boom. Guys and Dolls. Yeah, that's been an absolute blast. I get to play Lieutenant Brannigan of the New York Police Department, and that's just been a blast because he's this like grumpy, fed up, like essentially like older man. I mean, I don't think I give off like necessarily old man vibes, but like again, I put on the actor hat and we make it happen.
You become 50 years old.
Yes, and like, and I think
Couple
it's just
wrinkles,
accepted.
yeah.
No, I mean, I don't even need that. I become the essence of this Lieutenant Brannigan. But yeah, no, that's been so much fun. And it's like again similar to like how we've developed bits like in little like funny comedic moments. It's the same thing with Guys and Dolls, right? So like Ethan, our artistic director, ends up playing Nathan. And the relationship between Nathan, Detroit, and Lieutenant Brannigan is so much fun because, like, it's intentionally written in that there's, like, cutting each other off. And, like, there's just these fun, like, little things where it's, like, we can make these snarky jokes on stage with each other, but it's, like, that's how it's supposed to be, right? And, like, we're doing the piece justice by also having fun. Like, and that's that's so important, like, to be able to have fun.
It comes through with the audience when the characters are having fun. It always does.
Yeah.
Like you're doing a lot of shows that are very well known, and then you have this world premiere. So
it's what the Weathervane's first commissioned play by
play.
Kelly Strandemo, and basically the connection happened between Kelly and the theater, and it's a play that's about the New Hampshire primary, and it was written last year. And it's a really interesting take on how there was talk of maybe the primary being taken out of New Hampshire, and so Kelly created this little story with these characters about this experience. And what's really cool about the piece is that Kelly's such a great playwright, and she's so curious about New Hampshire. She's so curious about the stories and the actors and the things going on that she's really, really excited to constantly be like adjusting the piece to the, like it was different a year ago and now it's happening now, and it might even be different before we even premiere it, because the world is always changing and things are always shifting and growing. And it's also just a very, very charming story, and it's a very, very lovely celebration of New Hampshire and like New Hampshire culture and New Hampshire fall. There's this really lovely moment in the piece, but there's also very active representation integrated into the story, and it's a lot of like commentary on expectations of people and assumptions about people and their beliefs and their political beliefs and how they interact with one another. And it's
which is
just
something that we're going on right now.
Which is again, it's a very like active piece that is very much calling out things that people do a lot, in this really specific container of this New Hampshire primary and the relationship it had to the people and has to the people involved in it and the town that it exists in.
Bigger topic here, but just like the specificity of the New Hampshire is just, it's so interesting.
Yeah, like who'd have thought, that like I would ever be like in this play that was so specifically about the New Hampshire primary. You know what I mean? Like that is something I was like, what even is this?
And it dove you into the culture right away.
Yeah, and Kelly did so much research and like did so much to inform herself and to inform her story about New Hampshire and about this primary and about all these things that it's just a really lovely piece, and I hope everyone comes to see it.
Yes.
It's very cool.
So your season is just incredible. There's so many different plays, musicals, all of your information, tickets. Where do we go for any of that?
Well, as the box office manager, you can get in touch with me. You can call us at 603-837-9322 or weathervanenh.org. You can find us on World Wide Web, yeah, as
I've heard
Ira
of
likes
it.
to put it.
And then you have Facebook and all of those things, and Instagram
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
as
we've
well.
got-
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure you search the Weathervane Theatre, not the Weathervane Playhouse. That's in Ohio.
Akron. I went to school there.
Boom. You know,
But-
so we're the
Yes.
theater, not the Playhouse. Yeah. But yeah, you can see me and I'll help you get tickets.
Incredible, worth to see, and then hearing so much about the direction that Weathervane is going as well.
Yeah.
Just really interesting and incredible, and something that just we don't get from a lot of theaters, and we have it here, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Nick and Kimi, for coming. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
And it's been lovely. And you've been watching White Mountains Today.